Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Is coming.
You know what, let's start now, because I feel like starting,
Back up first. Go.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, and joining me today is Zauzubar. It's a light week, guys. It's a light week.
It is a very light week.
Bobby was originally intended to come on, but apparently his brother-in-law kept playing on the PlayStation 3, and so he didn't have a chance to watch this series. Or, more aptly, he was spared from the torment of watching this series. And, that's how we should introduce it, because it is, folks, right off the bat, do not watch this fucking show.
Alright, well hang on, before we get into that, we are going to be talking about the second, is it the second one? The second Netflix original produced TV show they did called Hemlock Grove, which is, I consider the follow-up to House of Cards in terms of when they made them. And now there's a whole string of Netflix original shows.
There are only 3, aren't there?
No, there's Orange is the New Black, there's Arrested Development, which got turned into a Netflix original show, and then the American version of Derek is technically a Netflix original show.
Okay, yeah, I didn't remember Derek. So there's House of Cards, Hemlock Grove, Orange is the New Black. I'm not going to count Arrested Development, but I see where you're coming from. And then, yeah, Derek. So there's only a couple of these.
Yeah, though I'm not sure how Derek is counted, because it was BBC 2, I think, that actually produced it, but maybe Netflix put money into it afterwards to get it developed.
I guess. I don't know.
They have to have money in it somewhere.
It's weird what they're doing. I loved House of Cards. Orange is the New Black was okay. I didn't love it as much, but I did enjoy it. And then this. Oh god, this.
Alright, so we are going to be reviewing Hemlock Grove, which I picked. I wasn't on last week because I had to go do another podcast, but I had the next topic, and I decided to pick this because when they started running trailers for it, and it started, I'm going to say last March maybe a little later than that, I really liked the artwork they had running for it. It was gorgeous, gorgeous artwork, so I was intrigued. But I never sat down to watch it, and I figured, it might be a little bit cool if we did a review on Geeky Gentlemen of something none of us has seen before, since we don't do that often. It's always something one of the people is familiar with, so I thought that'd be an interesting twist. So I thought it would also give me a good excuse to watch Hemlock Grove, and, well, I don't know if I really wanted that excuse now, but judging by the tone in your voice, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you did, but...
Dude, I didn't even finish it. I hated it that much.
Really? How far'd you get?
When he's running around in his fucking coma world, I was just like, I'm done with this shit.
Really?
If this was a movie, I would have walked out of the theater.
Really? You only got that far?
I hated this. I was dreading every single episode of it after the pilot. Every single time I saw an episode of it after the pilot, I was just like, God, this is such shit.
Well,
let me get into my main problem with
sure.
There's a list of them. Okay. Number 1. The plot is so damn convoluted and so just shitstorm cut up between how they're bouncing between all these different little subplots that it's a bear to follow.
Oh, it is definitely a huge problem. And
okay, hold on. I want to get my list out.
Sure, run through your list.
And that's not usually as big a problem, because usually shows like this are more focused on the characters. And this show is very focused on the characters, but you know what? Every character, with the exception of 2, is either a shit human being or completely uninteresting. And then 3, and this is the I guess the weird one. I just couldn't get out of my mind that Jean Grey is an English whore.
Right? I couldn't believe that, but what made it even weirder was the night I started watching it, my mom was watching that new Hansel and Gretel movie or whatever the fuck it was, and she has a British accent in that too. And I was like, it's fucked up.
Ugh, I could
what else is
not
on your
get
list?
through this fucking series. I usually do my best to try to troop through something, but I couldn't fucking do it. I could not bring myself to watch any more of this shitstorm.
I finished it. And I feel like the biggest problem with it, I think ultimately my biggest problem with it is the same as yours. It's insanely convoluted. I think what makes an even bigger problem is the writers, whatever it is, I don't think knew where the fuck they wanted to take this shit. Because I think that there is an interesting, thrilling show in here somewhere. Deep, but it's in there. And you can definitely see the seeds of that in, we've got a town of werewolves and vampires and, all this different shit.
Oh, is the kid a vampire?
Yeah, they revealed that at the end of the last episode.
That's what I thought, but I really wasn't sure because, one, he's out in the daylight and shit. I wasn't sure what his mom was. At first, I thought she was a witch, just because of the way he talked, his father talked to her. So, I don't know, I really was...
But the way they reveal that he's a vampire is fucking insane, and I don't know how it makes sense. I can assume you don't give a fuck about spoilers, so I will spoil it. So basically, here's what they explain. They're not vampires at first. There's something else. And the only way these people, the Godfreys, whatever the fuck they are, can become vampires is if they kill themselves. And when they commit suicide, which Roman does in the last scene when he finds out that he mind-blocked from his memory that he raped his own cousin, and that's where all that angel shit came from.
Oh, lovely.
That was his own child. And he killed himself when he found that out, and he woke up as a vampire and then killed his mother. But I think that, and all that stuff could be interesting, but I feel like the main driving force of this convoluted mess is so fucking dull. The murder mystery is awful.
Oh, yeah.
It's awful. And the reason why is because I feel like usually in a show like this, a simple thing like that, a murder, would get the ball rolling for a wider story. And it kind of does in this case. But when that mystery is as boring as it is here, it becomes completely useless. And whenever they go back to it to develop the story, you're like, I don't give a fuck. I want to get into all this other shit because I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And the reveal of who the killer is I didn't see it coming, but it didn't make any sense. Turns out to be the girl.
Which girl?
Christina. The little girl who, she makes out with the dead body.
Okay, then.
Which, here's how it doesn't make sense. Another big problem with the show is their weird and off-kilter way of doing flashbacks. I think they're really bad at doing the flashbacks because it's very hard to tell where we are and when things happen because they keep jumping all over the timeline.
Yeah, and they don't bother to change the color palette or anything when they do a flashback.
Right, it's like, whenever we go back to JR and Norman, there's gonna be rain, but not always, and we're gonna tell you how serious it is. And they don't do that continuously. They make the assumption for the audience that if we do it once, everyone knows where we are. That's not fucking true when you've got 15 other things going on. But here's where that becomes a problem with the murder mystery. When they explain how Christina is a werewolf, they have to flash back to when she first met Peter, which is in the show.
Yeah.
But did you get the impression that they ever had another conversation after that first one where he tells her he's a werewolf?
No, I figured that was... and that's actually something that bugged the crap out of me, and I was trying to puzzle over it. He tells this one girl... Like, he jokes about being a werewolf with this one girl.
Right.
She tells her two friends, and suddenly everyone in the school is convinced he's a werewolf and that they should make fun of him for it.
Right, yeah.
And first of all, just beyond that, He's not a fucking werewolf. He's a goddamn animorph.
Yep. Oh god, that pissed me off so bad because, you know,
It was that was the one. You know, I did like the visuals in the show. I will give it some credit for that.
It was a good looking show.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the way they did the werewolf transformation. I was just really disappointed that they got a fucking wolf.
I hate it when people do that with werewolves, because to me, it's so fucking boring. Like, if you're gonna do a werewolf, you better at least go to some stops to get some fucking makeup rolling or some CGI. Because looking at a dog running around on screen, like, oh god, it's a werewolf. I'm like, that's not scary. And it's not interesting because it's a fucking dog. I'll go out in my street and look at one. But there is no impression given to the audience that Christina and Peter had any other conversation beyond that first one where he jokes with her that he's a werewolf. But then they flash back to it, and they had a fucking ton of conversations after that. And
that's so stupid.
They try to pass off like they're friends or something. And I'm like, this is not the relationship that they had. It's a horrible reveal and a boring mystery. That's my biggest problem with the first 5 or 6 episodes of this show, is that it is boring. I agree with you, it is a chore to get through. And I felt like it kind of picked up in I thought once Roman went into the coma, it got a little bit more tolerable. And that was...
Yeah, maybe, but I couldn't make myself watch after that because it was just so... everything about that coma episode, I hated.
Oh, it was a couple episodes. It was 3 that they did that coma thing.
Oh, well, I'm just talking about that first episode with the coma. Oh, my God. I could not stand that shit.
Well...
It was so fucking convoluted, and the visuals were weird. Dude, I got a headache watching that episode.
You know, my biggest problem with it is, like a lot of things in this show, it doesn't go anywhere. They have this huge, self-discovery thing for Roman, and he wakes up and you're like, oh, he's gonna go kick some ass now, right? No! He does nothing. He does the same shit him and Peter were doing before the coma, except now they're even more buddy-buddy than they were before.
That's so weird.
It is really weird. I think the character interaction in this show is awful.
Oh, God, yeah, because I don't know if it's the writing or the acting or both.
Well,
I mean,
I can tell you one thing. The guy who plays Roman sucks.
Yeah, he is hands down, and he's essentially the secondary or the main character, depending on the episode.
Yeah.
He is terrible. I don't think that the guy that plays Peter is any good. I mean, I like the woman that plays Jean Grey. She's good.
Yeah, Olivia, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to call her Jean Grey.
I was going to do that too. But I'll let you do
You know, the woman that plays Jean Grey, she's okay. I like the daughter,
Shelley?
but she doesn't talk.
The
so
Frankenstein stand-in.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah. That was a cool reference, I had to admit. I felt like she wasn't explained at all, but
Well, no, they actually did do that, because there's that flashback to where, that's actually his older sister. From what I gathered, at least. There's that flashback to where JR takes the baby coffin and hands it to the Asian guy with the superpowers.
Yeah, what was his
name?
Then Johann Price? I think that was it.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so he hands the baby coffin. He hands the baby coffin to that guy, and then technically the next flashback, though it happens before that, and it's 12 years later or something. It's don't call that abortion by my baby girl's name. So I think that's what they were trying to imply, is that he'd taken his daughter to that guy because he told him that he could bring her back.
Well, that's what I got out of it too, and that's why I thought the name Shelley was a good name, because Mary Shelley, created the original Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure then, because then they mentioned that he's had other kids before Roman, and it's heavily implied that Roman is older than Shelley. Because
well, I think that's the thing, though. I think he's implying that Roman's told that he's older than Shelley.
Yeah.
But, he's really not. Because, well, I mean, I guess it's how you look at it, because he would have been 5 when they brought her back to life, because she only lived for, a week or so.
Right.
when she was first born, then she was in the ground forever, and then Roman was born, and then this Price guy comes around and is like, I can bring your daughter back to life, and then so he gives him the coffin.
Right.
And that's how we get Shelley, I guess.
That's what I assumed, too. And again, that makes a lot more sense. Now, they mention, you know how whenever someone touches her skin goes blue?
Depends. I think their skin has to be wet, or I think moisture has to be involved.
I don't know, but I was wondering about that for the whole series, and then it is mentioned so quickly about why that happens, and they never actually connected back to Shelley. You have to do a lot of assumptions. In that, the Price explains, we do this with a baby's body by adding in phosphorus, which is supposed to be bright. So I'm like, that's why. Okay,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense, but they never connected back to Shelley. I don't know. I liked Shelley. She was fine. Where they take her makes no sense. They fucking end up. So Ian, would you believe me if I told you that Hemlock Grove ends the same way The Dark Knight does?
I really wouldn't.
Okay. So Hemlock Grove ends with, you find out Christine is the werewolf. Her and Peter get in a fight, and Peter seemingly dies as the wolf. And then all of a sudden, Shelley comes out of the background, just snaps the wolf's neck, the evil one. And then the wolf transforms back into the little girl, and the sheriff comes in thinking that she killed her. And shoots Shelley like 4 times with a shotgun, and she doesn't die. So she goes on Michael Myers, and she goes on Michael Myers, and that she survives. And then she fucking runs out of the fucking church, and Roman starts chasing her, and the sheriff starts descending the building to get back to Shelley. So I'm like, oh my god! As soon as Roman catches up with this guy, he's dead, and he just is like, please don't hurt her. I'm like, done, buddy. He fucking shot her. So why don't you get some revenge on this asshole? I thought that was awkward as hell, that he's acting like such a little bitch. I'm like, dude, you have superpowers. Kick this guy's ass.
Oh, wow.
That was really awkward. And then there's this fucking speech that Olivia gives to Roman, where she's talking about how Shelley is the hero we deserve, but not the one that we need right now. And I just thought that was really funny.
No, see, like, I don't know, this show is so weird, because you get Shelley, and this is obviously not a healthy teenager, right?
I wouldn't say so.
And everyone clearly acknowledges that she is not a normal human being.
Right.
And then you get all these people talking about, werewolf, and I'm just like, do people know werewolves and vampires exist in this universe, or am I missing something? Is it like a widely accepted fact, like True Blood, or what's going on here? Oh god, it is so bad. I think Bill's leaving us for a minute. Can you vent for a sec? Sure, I can vent for a sec, Bill. Fine. Leave all the pressure on me, but I got this shit. Alright, so, anyway, it just confuses the shit out of me, and it really should. You should not expect your viewers to go in willing to be confused and then not pay it off in a good way, timely way throughout the series. You can't expect me to watch 13 episodes of a television show in a way... Oh, let me rephrase that. You can't expect me to watch 13 episodes of a television show waiting for it to be paid off in the last one. No, you gotta pay off your mysteries as the show goes on. I got through 2/3 of the show, and it didn't fucking happen.
And it doesn't at the end. They don't really explain anything. Any of the questions you may have had probably aren't explained.
What's in the fucking box?
Oh, God. It's a baby wrapped up in a cocoon, and they don't explain what it is at all. And the show ends on that image.
Whatever.
I don't know what's going on with that. Apparently they're doing a season 2, which good luck to them.
It's like the lowest rated Netflix show, and I know why.
Well, clearly why. People were like, "What the fuck's going on?" And they don't.
Believe it or not, people, You have to have a plot that other people can follow.
Doesn't this really strike you as like someone... This is how the show first struck me, and it kind of becomes better than this a little later on, but not much. It almost strikes me as someone who really hates Twilight and was like, I'm going to write a vampire werewolf show that is drastically darker and more well-developed than Twilight. So he's like, all right, in order to do that, I need interesting characters, a rich plot, and a rich universe. And universe, it needs some cleaning up, but, you know, you got ground there. The plot is overkill, and the characters are different archetypes. So I feel like he got halfway there and then suffered from some of the same problems.
I don't know. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to make vampires and werewolves and Frankensteins exist in the same universe and not have it be totally convoluted or just pussy bullshit.
I thought
I don't know, because, like, they go so far as to directly reference Twilight once or twice in this.
Do they?
Yeah, it's in the first episode, I think, when Peter meets the girl. She's like, are you a werewolf? And he goes, yes, now all you have to do is get yourself a sexy vampire and we can have an abstinence three-way together.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes, that's true. And I think there's a sparkling reference in there somewhere. I don't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of a different thing, but I remember sparkling being mentioned. But yeah, that's how it struck me. It struck me as a guy who really hates Twilight. And I know this is based on a book just like Twilight is. I've never heard of it, but I assume it was done in the same vein, where someone was like, fuck that Twilight shit. This is how you write vampires and werewolves as high schoolers.
I cannot believe I'm going to say this. I would have rather watched Twilight.
No.
I would have enjoyed myself more if I'd watched Twilight, because at least that I can have fun making fun of and laugh at all the awkward Kristen Stewart.
Oh, no, not the first movie.
No, I can enjoy myself watching something terrible that's, like, meant to be, you know, crappy romance stuff. This I'm disappointed in, because it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it does.
And they just shit all over it with the plot.
Yeah, it really, it's the definition of a mess to me. Because
actually, you know what, you had your metaphor about someone trying to write Twilight but good. Let me give you what my metaphor of what this show is. My friend Drew, who was supposed to be on the show last week but wasn't, he went through a phase in high school where he was really into film. And unfortunately, he's kind of gone out of that, and I'm disappointed. Because the man just had an amazing eye for good camera shots, and he had a really good talent of making moving shots work. And everything that dude shot, beautiful. It looks amazing. But he has no idea, or had no idea rather, how to write something. Everything that he filmed, and you guys can go check out his channel, look up Drew Worley here. Everything he films looks really good, especially considering that it's a high school student. Everything he filmed looked really good, but just the story was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with this. Every shot of this thing looks beautiful. My favorite being when the fortune teller gypsy opens up the can of intestines the second time after she put the maggot in there. That looked really freaking good.
Yeah.
But everything looks brilliant.
There was some bad CG, but...
well, I mean, that can't be helped.
Well, the building looked awful in some shots. It was like, this is definitely not superimposed.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all about budget at that point.
Yeah, that's
so.
true. It's true.
No, it's just that, like, the shots, though, the camera work looked amazing. And I'm just like, how do you make something... Like, didn't anyone question while they were shooting this, like, what the fuck is going on?
You know what?
It felt like a film student being given a project he wasn't ready for and no one checking his plot.
Yeah, but you know what? It also strikes me as a film student who was very passionate for his initial premise, and then the plot ensuing only made sense to him. Because it feels like, again, as I said earlier, there's a good show in there somewhere. But it's just such a mess in terms of execution. The story goes all over the place, and the characters contradict themselves every left, right, and center, and it gets to the point where they stop becoming characters and start becoming, here's what the writer wanted to do now.
Let me ask you this, Bill. Do you think this series could work with a re-edit?
Just editing what they had?
Yeah, just re-editing, like, because what bugged the crap out of me is something would start to get legs, and then we'd cut away to something. It'd be like the guy from Monty Python walks in, and is like, and now for something completely different.
Let me ask you this. What subplot did you think they could cut out? Because I definitely have at least two.
Well, if you reveal that Christina, I think that's her name, is the werewolf, you can't cut any of her stuff out.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
because as I said earlier, everything they reveal about her, you don't see in the show. So, literally, you could have had that initial time she sees the dead body, and then literally spend the rest of the time with her as a background character, and then comes to the forefront at the end. Everything with her and the twins, and all the mental breakdown times, it's fucking pointless, and it doesn't add up with what they explain about her being a werewolf. Now, let me say this. As an enthusiast of werewolf lore, I did really like how they explain how she became a werewolf, because it's classic werewolf lore, and not some modern stuff.
What'd she do? What happened?
And again, this doesn't fit in with the story at all, but I liked it individually. She drinks out of one of the paw prints that Peter leaves behind.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. But here's my problem with that. Does the show indicate at all that Peter transforms into a werewolf in Hemlock Grove before he shows Roman?
No, it doesn't appear that way, really. I mean, like, I guess I'm trying to think of it, because I remember at one point he stamps out a paw print. But I cannot honestly tell you when that happened.
You're right.
If it was before the first murder.
You're right, but wouldn't it have happened simultaneously? Because they show that her transformation takes time.
I guess. All I know is that the first scene of the series, which starts out in a fucking with Roman holding that ice cream cone, which was just a weird fucking way to open your show.
Right.
That first scene with Roman and that girl that he essentially, puts the blood circle on, and then she dies. And then it says earlier that summer, and it shows Peter and his mother moving into the trailer.
Right.
And that's another thing that got me, is the whole gypsy thing. I'm like,
okay, yeah.
This clearly is meant to take place in modern day. Most people don't even know that gypsies or Roma are a thing.
Well, they think it's an old thing, yeah.
Yeah, how do we get, like, these guys that just go, oh, fucking gypsies?
Also, is that kind of racism acceptable in a modern American high school? Because that would not fly in 2013 Carl Place. I don't know about Fort Wayne, because of some stories you've told me, but I don't know. That doesn't strike me as a modern-day kind of thing that would happen.
Well, no, it's just most people don't even know gypsy is a thing. Like, alright, have you ever said, man, I got gypped?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the vending machine gypped me?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you know that that's a racist term targeted towards gypsies?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is. And that's how far out of the culture racism towards gypsies is.
Yeah.
In the wide culture. I mean, I'm sure there's still some fuckers out there that are racist against Roma people, whatever.
Definitely, but...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's how far removed the modern culture is from gypsy hate, is they don't even realize when they're using derogatory terms about gypsies.
Well, my problem with it is the casual kind of racism in the fucking high school. It's like... There's very little precedent for American racism towards gypsies in history, as far as I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mostly German.
Yeah, and they do have a scene with the Nazis in here, which I did like. But that's later on. You probably didn't get to that.
Were there Nazi werewolf women of the SS?
I wish. That would have been so much cooler. But no, they explain that. Rather, they imply that Roman's family is descended from half Nazis. Probably Olivia's side. And then,
hopefully.
And then, well, that would make more sense because they show them being the vampires. And then, you've got Peter's side being the gypsies, and they were being persecuted in World War II, and conveniently, one of these ancestors met each other, and one of the Upirs, as they're called, tried to convince one of the gypsies to try and strangle Nikolai, which is a gypsy they bring up a lot, who is, I believe he's Peter's grandfather. Yeah. And it's this cool bit. It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but it's a cool bit to see that brought up, because as a modern American viewer, you know gypsies from one of two things. You know it from your social studies class when you learned about World War II and the Nazis, or you know it from the Wolfman. Yeah. And I did enjoy the callback to the Wolfman with the gypsies being so tied in with werewolf lore. I did definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I thought you'd appreciate that.
I did, but they don't do anything with it. It's like, and again,
they really don't.
But again,
I like the fortune teller girl. I forgot about her, but she's barely in the show.
She's fucking hot, man.
Well, for the right price, Bill.
Yeah, right. What was I gonna say again? Oh, but again, fucking the ultimate reveal. I feel like the werewolves are so unimpactful in this show. Which is weird because at least of this season they are the main monster because they don't become vampires until the end anyway, and the Frankenstein thing is so far in the background and it's kind of just alluded to. But here's my first problem: it is inconsistent when they can transform because they don't bring up the full moon until I don't know, episode 9. Like when Peter first transforms, it comes out of the blue. And they don't bring up the full moon at all. And also, it happens during daylight. So you're like,
well, no, they show a shot of the moon during the day. You know when the moon can be out during the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, but again, I think it makes
funny story real quick,
sure.
Just because my friend Andrew, next door neighbor for years, when we were kids, no matter what I said or who I got to tell him, I could not convince Andrew that when you see the moon during the day, it is not a cloud. It's actually the moon.
Wait, alright, so he thought it was a cloud.
Yeah, every time. Like, no, that's the moon. It's like, no, Ian, it's just a cloud. The moon doesn't come out during the day. Sometimes it does, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
No matter what.
Our wonderful American education system.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I thought that it made the werewolves not only less scary, but just less cool when it's like, oh, it's daytime, I'm transforming, oh no. And also, they don't explain why Peter has so much control over his transformation. At all.
Because he's a gypsy.
Really? Is that the only... Do they even say that?
No, I'm just bullshitting for the show.
Yeah. I thought that it was really bizarre, because it's like, Roman has, at the point where he shows Roman he's a werewolf, it's been like 2 days since they've like had a conversation with each other for the first time, and his mother is just like, yeah, just stand back here, we're cool. Peter transforms, and it's goddamn horrifying.
That was really cool.
Oh,
I love, that is hands down my favorite werewolf transformation.
I thought the eyes was a little bit silly in terms of like how they pop out. But
yeah, I like the teeth.
Cool. That was cool. Oh, that was cool. How the caps fall off and the fangs come out. That was awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the werewolf transformation, but God, I was so disappointed when it was a fucking dog.
Yep. And
I did like that the dog ate his former skin.
I was gonna say that too, because that kind of... There is definitely an underlying motif of rebirth in this show.
Yeah.
And whether or not it works, I don't think it does, but it's definitely in there. And I feel like that image, and it's used a couple times, is definitely a visual representation of that, because, when some women out there, when they give birth, will actually eat their own placenta.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So that's what that reminded me of, and I thought that that also co-aligned with the fact that the werewolf that was killing people, the Jaeger wolf or whatever, the Jaeger wolf.
Tonight we are canceling the Wolfocalypse.
Would you rather die here or in the cockpit of a Jaeger wolf? It's either that or it's like this cheap Russian beer. Jaeger. I don't remember what
Sorry, go on.
I don't remember what they called it. No, I don't remember what I was saying. Whatever, it doesn't.
Jaeger wolf. You were talking about the Jaeger wolf.
I don't remember why. Oh, because it goes after the girly bits.
Yeah, right?
So, I thought that was kind of a nice little continuation. There's a lot of unnecessary sex in this show.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to, like, HBO does the same thing. You remember Game of Thrones when Littlefinger is doing his, his monologue.
His sex ed.
Yeah, his monologue about, like, his character, and there's just randomly two women making each other come in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little... I mean, the dialogue was fitting for the show, but that was a little bit like, we don't need this bitch screaming in the background.
Yeah, it's just... If you have the ability to do boobs, they do it just because it'll make more people pay attention to the show.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of people take that as kind of being artsy, and it's not always. It's weird because if you say that porn can be art, a lot of people will laugh at you. But look at some films that are considered super artsy. I guarantee at least 75 to 80% of them have excessive nudity in it.
Yeah, it's weird. I really don't know what's up with that. I mean, like, there were a couple scenes where the nudity helped a bit, and then there's, like, Jean Grey, who obviously refused to be naked on film.
Oh, God.
And it makes no sense, because she's having so much sex in this show. Yeah. And it's just like, women don't do that. You know? It's like, it's one of those things that drives me crazy about television shows, or a lot of movies, too. When a couple has sex afterwards, apparently all sheets have L shapes. Because it always covers the woman's chest, but not the man's. And I'm just like, what is up with that? I mean, like, just either the women in film, like, as far as, like, the characters, are the most insecure people ever. Because, like, you gotta think about the scenario this just happened in. These two people just had sex. And afterwards, she feels the immediate need to cover herself.
I can't let you see my girly bits.
I mean, I know you were just grabbing them and shit, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's so bizarre. And again, in a show like this where they don't give a fuck, who gives a fuck?
Well, no, it's just obviously the actress didn't want to be naked on film, but I'm like, well, then you shouldn't have gone out for a role where your character's main thing is that she sleeps with the dude.
Yeah, but if
you know.
Are you talking about Olivia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, her too. But she leaves a lot of her clothes on most of the time. Even in that, I know the shot you're talking about. She has fucking lingerie on. So you.
No, but not just that. Like every time those two are shown having sex, she's wearing clothes.
Yep.
It's obviously just because the actress didn't want to be naked.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what really pisses me off about Famke Janssen's role in this?
What?
She is easily the most mysterious character in the whole show. Easily. Uh-huh. You don't know who the fuck she is, and what the fuck she's doing there, any of that shit. So you would think finding out who she is and what she's about would be the primary focus of the following seasons of Hemlock Grove.
But they kill her.
So this is probably not a character you want to kill. Guess what they do? It's like, this is not someone you want to kill off, because God forbid she can explain shit later on. Oh, lucky us that this is a universe where we could probably bring people back from the dead. So we'll see how that goes. Not that I'm sure if I'll watch season 2. Probably not.
Never. You could not pay me to watch season 2 of Hemlock Grove.
Yeah. I thought the title was hilarious too, because every time I saw it pop up, I was like, oh my god, this town's problems would all be solved if they had some Power Rangers.
Okay, I guess I don't get that reference.
Oh, the town the Power Rangers are from is Angel Grove. And that's the only place I've ever heard the word Grove attached to another town. So whenever I...
Okay, see, what I found interesting was the name Hemlock. Do you know about the Socrates and the Hemlock?
Mm-mm. It's news to me.
Alright, I like this story, so I'm gonna take a bit of time telling it if you don't mind.
We got time, dude.
Yeah, alright, so, Socrates, of course, very famous philosopher, ancient Greek philosopher. He was, let's say, problematic to the Greek Senate. They really did not like this dude because he just questioned people constantly, and not in, like, a good way. He just, like, made voters think, and that's not okay. He would just walk around questioning people, and he was teaching kids. And so eventually, when they had the chance, Socrates was arrested for corrupting the youth and worshipping false gods. So he was accused of those two things. And Socrates was taken to trial, and he does his arguments, and he does a really good job arguing, but if the jury's there to convict you, you're going to get convicted no matter what.
Right.
But even though he did such an amazing job arguing, even though the Senate was dead set against him, he got a narrow majority voted to execute Socrates, okay? So he still got lined for execution, but it was a very narrow majority. Alright, so, now in this time period, if you're going to be executed, if you're being taken to trial for execution, you're supposed to argue for a lesser sentence, okay?
Right.
So Socrates goes, and he's told that the prosecution wants to argue for him to be executed. And Socrates argues that he should be given a gift that only the greatest athletes at the Olympics are given, which is essentially like you get to go into any building and get free lunch, okay? So he argues that he deserves that.
Hast thou, I want to get some McDonald's for free. Ancient Greek McDonald's.
That's basically what it argues. Just like if you imagine, alright, that you go to the Olympics, you win, and to thank you for your amazing feats of physical fitness and such, you are given the right to walk into any restaurant in the city and get free lunch. Basically, that's it, okay? So Socrates argues that that's what he
coupon.
Yeah. So Socrates argues that's what he should get instead of execution. Most people argue that they should be exiled instead of executed, but not Socrates.
Death or exile.
right. Alright, so Socrates says, no, I will not argue for exile. And so he's streamlined for execution. And he has to be executed via Hemlock. So here's where this actually all ties in.
Oh.
The hemlock is a type of plant that's poisonous. And what it does when it poisons you is it shuts down your nervous system. Now, it's not like they just, fed this guy some hemlock or, crushed it up and shoved it down his throat. No. They made a drink, and he had to drink it in public. Alright? It's, a big goblet, and he had to drink it in public. So Socrates, instead of wasting, just wasting the opportunity of a public forum, he drinks it slowly, and he stands up, and you're not supposed to stand up, because then it'll take longer to take effect. And he stands up, and he walks around, and he lectures the entire time.
Oh god, that's great.
That he is being executed, basically making himself kill himself. And eventually, as the day winds down, his legs stop working, so he has to lay down to do it. And his last words, as he's about to go, as he calls one of his friends over to him, and he says, I owe a sacrifice of a cock to the god of health and well-being. Take care of that for me. And then he dies.
Wow.
Socrates.
He was a badass.
Socrates was a bit of a badass.
Oh, man.
That's all I could think about when I was watching this series, and it just made me realize how much I would like a Socrates series as opposed to this.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I mean, the only reason I can think they would call it that is because it's a cool-sounding name. Because, although there is a brief mention of plants in this show, when they go up to the lab, there's all these plants in containers. I don't know if they mention hemlock, though.
I don't know.
I suppose it's supposed to be implied.
I just don't know why you would name your city after a poisonous plant.
I don't know. Well, there's also no implication. I mean, I guess because of the Godfreys and shit, and the pollution they talk about. I thought it would...
Yeah, but usually a city's name before, like, major industry is in there and stuff.
No, but
whatever.
I'm saying more, like, for the thematic reasons of the show.
Oh, yeah, sure. I thought you were... I'm talking literally...
Oh,
who would name their town after a poisonous plant?
I can't even fathom a guess as to why these motherfuckers... Like, you know what we should call this town? I was thinking something Grove. Angel Grove. Nah. It's like this old...
No, we don't want any giant monsters that don't do any damage.
Oh, we don't want an abandoned buildings district. I want to call this here town Hemlock Grove. Why do you have a southern accent in Pennsylvania? Shut up! He got his way. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why. I hate seeing fake signs for fake towns. It pisses me off. Because they always look fake to me. And usually, like, the only time I've ever been okay with it is Chris Nolan's Batman movies, which is weird because that's so obviously Chicago. But I don't know why it doesn't bother me in that. It bothered me in Man of Steel because that's definitely not Grand Central Station they're crashing into. And it bothered the fuck out of me in this whenever they would show, like, Hemlock Grove High School. I was like, I don't know why, but that annoys me. It's this weird pet peeve I have with shows like this that take place in a fictional town.
Well, what I don't get about it is, like, usually a town has more than one high school, you know? Like, I got Snyder, I got Northrop, I got Northside
Really?
here in Fort Wayne.
You guys have...
Yeah, we got 3 or 4 high schools in this city.
Wow. Oh, it's a city.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, but still.
Is it called the city of Fort Wayne or the town of Fort Wayne?
City.
Alright, then that's why they...
I guess there's New Haven, which is literally a stone's throw away. Sometimes the porn sites say I'm in New Haven, so I guess they're the accurate measures.
Yeah. Well, according to most porn sites, I live in a town 2 towns over, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just, thanks. Everybody, I'm sure, is glad that they know that now.
The Geeky gentleman discussed briefly what they're referred to on their porn sites.
Well, like, I always get that meet attractive singles in New Haven.
Adult Friend Finder, yeah.
Yeah. My favorite one, though, someone posted a screen cap of this. Someone was able to offset their computer's internal GPS or IP address or whatever it is, and change it to proxy address.
Right.
So the porn site says, there are attractive singles in proxy address waiting to meet you. Legit.
Right? It's fucking hysterical.
There are attractive singles in Hemlock Grove waiting to meet you.
Yeah, apparently. I thought that there was a lot of characters in this show that could have been cut out. And because I think another thing that really bothered me and clearly bothered you was how boring it was to cut to these different characters as focal points when they're not that interesting.
I really didn't need his cousin to be there.
Yeah, I mean, again, she was hot, but still pointless. The one that...
I liked the fortune teller. I didn't care about his mom. I don't see why you couldn't have made those one character.
I thought that she was a wasted opportunity. Because you've got the mother of a werewolf here, and you've got the mother of a vampire who also has this mysterious background. And they try very hard and really fail to make them parallels or kind of a cracked mirror reflection of each other. But I feel like, A, the one playing Peter's mother is not a good enough actress to convey this without the dialogue doing the work for her, and the dialogue doesn't do any of that heavy lifting. So, I don't know. I felt like Famke Janssen did fine, but that's such an easy fucking role. It's a snobby British rich bitch who has superpowers. I don't...
Wait a minute, I had a question for you now that you make me think about their scenes together as far as the mothers go.
Sure.
What the fuck was up with Olivia and Raw Meat?
She's a vampire.
Okay, I just didn't catch that at all, at that point.
You didn't get to the point where you find out she's a vampire, so...
Well, it was fucking random as shit.
Oh, it was, because they don't continue it.
Yeah, it just cuts right after that scene straight to, the library or something.
Yeah, they don't continue it through that plot reveal. Again, I literally just thought of that now. When you said, why does that happen, I had to think about it. I was like, oh yeah, she's a vampire. But, you don't know that at that point, and the only other time they make reference to it is in the last episode where they talk about her hunger, and the hunger that Roman's going to have. The other thing I thought was really annoying about her character was how inconsistent she was in terms of her relationship to Roman.
Yeah, because in the, flashback, that first flashback where JR kills himself, she's like, oh, he'll always be mine. And then in other scenes, she's just so, detached and pissy at him. And in other scenes, she's spoiling the shit out of him, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and then there's also that scene where she's bitching at Shelley, and Roman pulls out the card, oh, I'm going to own all this one day, and you won't have anything. And you're like, oh, she has a bunch of reasons to kill him now. So, and they never do anything with that. It would have been a very generic turn for the show to take, but it would have made sense as opposed to what they went with. I thought that was really unusual, and you would think after that point she would resent him even more. And she doesn't. After that point, she is so attached to him. And you've got that whole stretch where he's in a coma and shit, and all that time he's in a coma, she's a decent human being. Defending her son and defending his friend.
Yeah, I think it's weird that she brought her son to the fucking house, but whatever.
But, yeah, you're right. And the previous characterization contradicts that, and what happens afterwards contradicts that.
Yeah.
And again, now that she's dead, she won't be around to explain it. I felt like the last episode was awful because it's a series of anticlimaxes. Because they kill off every single character who had anything to do with the subplots. They fucking kill off Roman's cousin during childbirth, and I think we're supposed to assume the baby is dead too. They don't really get into it. They kill off Olivia. Peter leaves. They kill off...
You know what? Now I'm thinking about the cousin. Alright, so, I know she's supposed to be repressing that she had sex with her... Actually, it's her brother, not her cousin, but whatever.
Half-brother, technically.
Yeah, but anyway. So, I know that she's supposed to be repressing that when she says she's been impregnated by an angel.
Yeah.
But what the fuck is up with her sleeping with Peter?
Well, they become boyfriend-girlfriend.
No, it's she's making this whole big deal out of, oh, I'm still a virgin, and I was given, angelic...
That goes right out the window at the end of the show. They really totally forget about that. She just kind of becomes generic... She becomes the generic love interest.
No, but it just bugged the shit out of me. I'm like, your character motivation makes no sense here. She's like, oh, I'm still a virgin, I'm pure... But now that I've got a boyfriend, I'm gonna fuck... and she's, really direct about it, too. Yeah. She's like, so you're gonna fuck me now?
Yep.
And it's just like, what?
And again, Ian, the biggest problem with it is that they don't continue with through the rest of the show. So you would think that her, losing her virginity while she's pregnant would be a big deal, even though we find out she already lost her virginity. You would think that'd be a big deal.
But it's not.
But it's not at all. She becomes the generic love interest. She becomes such a plain character. And not to say she wasn't before, but she had that bizarre quirk about her that made her at least stick out. And again, she becomes the generic love interest. She's only there to cry when Peter supposedly dies. That's all she's there for. And she has, the whole time you're like, oh, she got fucked by an angel. You're like, what the hell's going on? And again, they just fucking get rid of it, sweep it under the rug, because, oh god, we don't want to deal with that. So there's this hilarious shot in the last episode where they finally, and I already knew that Roman was the guy who did it because they kind of explain it a couple episodes previous when he rapes the Asian chick.
Yeah, that was an awkward ass scene.
And again, so inconsistent with the rest of the show because it never gets brought up again. And we're supposed to like Roman after that. He just raped the chick.
But I don't get about it. Like, he just takes a minute to, like, get his pants off, and in that short span of time, she's suddenly really freaked out and everything when she was obviously wanting to do it just a second ago.
Because he ties her up and goes for the ass.
No, but not in between those two parts, though. She starts freaking out before he does that. Like, he ties her up, and she's, a little bit, okay, that's weird, but then he eats her out, and she's like, alright, now I'm happy. And then he starts taking off his pants and everything, or his underwear and everything, and then she starts freaking out when he's doing that, even just because he paused for a second. It's just so weird and so awkwardly shot.
Oh, it is awkward. It's definitely awkward.
Ugh.
And
it's weird when I like an actor more when he doesn't fucking talk.
No, I have that quite a bit sometimes. His voice is the thing that killed it for me because every line he delivered sounded so awkward. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be this cool, spoiled, rich brat, and then he says lines like, "We are friends, Peter. Peter,
we're in this together.
We're in this together. I'm a warrior."
Fucking birds.
And I love how come all modern horror things feel the need to quote Night of the Living Dead? I get showing the footage because it's a famous public domain movie. But why do they have to quote it? Ugh, I hate it when they do that. It just bothers me. And, of course, that's when Roman is like, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." I'm like, this guy is so not cool. I don't know. That always pisses me off. It almost sounds like this guy's a phony horror fan. Like, it's like, oh, I have to quote Night of the Living Dead because that's something people know, and we can actually show on screen without getting sued. But yeah, it was annoying. I like the guy who played Peter. He's a very generic character, though.
I didn't like Peter. The guy was okay. He wasn't a bad actor, but the character just didn't do it. No, that's the thing is, the characters either hated the characters or they just weren't fucking interesting. And Peter just wasn't fucking interesting.
No, not at all. He is generic. He's generic everyman working class hero.
Yeah, and he's a werewolf.
And he's a werewolf, so it makes sense. The science is sound. No,
Wait, Bill, are you saying that working class men are werewolves?
Yes.
Okay, that makes so much sense now.
Right? You better watch out, rich motherfuckers, we're coming for you. What was I gonna say after I had another point? Oh, one character I started to really get into. Again, I think the episodes from like 6 to 8 or 9 are not terrible. It's the stuff around that I either find really boring or just straight up like, what the fuck is going on? And the main reason why, because I really started to like Norman. And I think that was because they start to get into the whole thing of JR warned him and he is fully aware that he is going down a rabbit hole straight to hell. And I liked him even more when he was trying his best to resist Olivia's charms. To resist her, to resist her drawing him into this world of, corporate corruption and, these lies and cheating on his wife and, all this stuff when he's trying to have a normal life. And then he takes this random turn where he's like, I want to leave my wife and marry you, Olivia. And I'm like, when did this come from? Like, motherfucker, there's this scene earlier in the show where you have a look of your face when you're fucking her just like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, you're doing it because you have no choice. And then later on, it's like they're all kissy and huggy, and it's like, where did this change come from? Now, what would have made sense is if Olivia was mind-controlling him to do this, but they don't say that. And we never see her do that anyway, so we don't know if she even has that explicit ability.
Yeah, I did like how they integrated that with Roman.
Oh, yeah.
Just because that's, like, the power that I gave the character I did for the William Stone thing, and it's such an interesting power, depending on how well you use it.
Yeah, I like the nosebleed thing. I thought it's a little generic. I mean, things have done that before, but I don't know, it worked fine. But Norman was a character to me where I started to like him, and I started to find him interesting and kind of endearing, and then he just turned into this corrupt, adulterist. Is that how you say it? Is it adulterist or adulterer?
I have no idea.
I'm going to say adulterer because that sounds better. But I don't know. I stopped liking his character, and he just became one of the other asshole Godfreys. The other character who also kind of suffered from lack of focus or lack of a consistent writer, I don't know, was fucking Dr. Price.
Oh, God.
I don't know what was going on with him because...
Hey, guess what? I have superpowers. I'll use them once.
What were his superpowers again? Because I don't remember.
He was constantly in fight or flight mode.
Right. He has that condition. Which I thought was indicating that he was the werewolf. But turns out not. Because I also thought that would make sense because I'm like, oh, this is Ouroboros, the project he's been working on. I think it has nothing to do with it. Ouroboros has nothing to do with the main plot of this fucking season. But there's a character who's like, what the fuck is he doing down in that lab? Why does Norman hate him so much? And, why does he have so much power over this company? And they kind of hint at it here and there, but then you get scenes where Olivia is putting her fucking heel on his throat, fucking telling him, do this and do that for me, and he is showing fucking restraint and acting like an asshole and acting like a horrible human being. But there's other scenes where he's all about, oh, it's for the good of science, and I'm gonna kill people for the good of science, and it's just inconsistent writing, to a T. He bothered me as well. Also, a German Asian? Did that happen?
What?
His first name is Johann.
I guess, man. Anything is possible.
Apparently.
If you believe.
Even if I believe in German Asians.
Yes.
So, when you wish upon a star, German Asians will appear.
He probably wasn't written as an Asian guy.
Probably not.
If I had to guess, they probably just cast that dude because he was good at being inconsistent and creepy.
I just found him annoying. I didn't find him really all that creepy. I hated the way he talked. Just like, oh, I'm better than you, and I'm gonna be really polite, see?
And I'm gonna talk into this fucking tape recorder all the goddamn time, because fuck it, why not?
Yeah, and then another thing they don't explain, why the fuck he's doing that. I have a very strange feeling they're gonna try and turn him into a Jekyll and Hyde stand-in in Season 2.
I could buy it, I guess.
Not saying that I care, I'm just saying that that's what it seems like they're going for.
Yeah. Did Norman die by the end of the series, or season?
No, but it's weird because he has a succession of 3 losses and they don't field his reaction for any of them. His daughter dies. No, he actually has 4. His niece dies, supposedly. His daughter dies in front of him. He leaves his wife. Fucking dick move, by the way. It's like, oh, our kid just died. Bye. And then the woman he...
Well, Bill, our kid just died. Well, better hit the old dusty trail.
He slings over one of those sticks with the fucking blanket wrapped around it.
Right?
So it's the ending of The Incredible Hulk. Dun, 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 dun! And then, of course, the woman he left his wife for dies, and they never field his reactions for any of those things, except for the daughter dying. And, which all we can tell is he cried for a little bit, and then he just went back to fucking Olivia. And that was about it.
Well, I mean, shit, if Jean Grey was in front of me begging for the dick, I guess, you know.
She's a little bit freakishly large. Not fat, just like proportion-wise.
Okay, Bill.
I don't know, I feel... See, because I'm a tall guy, so when I see tall women, I'm like, whoa. Every dude she's on frame with, she's taller than, including Norman.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's my ancestors' sexism coming out. I don't know, maybe.
You heard it here first, folks. Bill is a terrible human being.
Well, didn't we know that anyway? Aren't we all terrible human beings on this show?
Yeah.
So, it's not news to any of them. I thought the ending was just awful. The ending was easily the worst part. Because there's being boring, and then there's making your audience just at least slap their forehead. Like,
I'm sorry, Bill. You kind of cut out there for a second. Can you repeat that?
Sure. So, there's a difference between being boring, like the first 5 episodes are, and then just being convoluted and awful like the last episode is.
See, then I'm really glad I didn't finish it, because, like, it doesn't sound like it improved at all.
No, it didn't improve, it just got more tolerable because the murder wasn't the focal point. For, like...
See, that's the only reason I, like, considered finishing it, was because I wanted to kind of figure out where all of it was going.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, it's an elevator of shit.
It is. It is an elevator of shit. It doesn't go anywhere.
It's worse. It's an elevator of different kinds of shit because it's worse on every level.
No, but then it doesn't end on one of those levels of shit. It ends nowhere. You're left with nothing. You end up on the roof. No, you don't end up on the roof. You end up on the edge of the roof. So it's like, guys, and that's when the elevator man abandons you, and that's where they leave you. And it's not a cliffhanger. No, it's just you're left with nothing.
Yeah, it's I really, unless you're a fan of convoluted bullshit, I wouldn't recommend watching this show. I'm trying to think of like a good, like, who is this show for, Bill?
I'll tell you.
Like, who would enjoy this show? What kind of people would enjoy this?
I'll tell you exactly who would. And this is no way meant to insult my mother. But my mom would love this show.
Why?
Because my mom and a lot of people in that demographic out there love the chase of trying to find out what's going on. Whether or not it makes...
Oh, it's like that Lost demographic.
Oh, my mom loved Lost. And I can tell that whether or not it's good is not necessarily the thing. It's whether or not there's a really convoluted mystery to get wrapped up in. And it's that demographic that likes to watch shows week to week. I dropped off Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I just can't stand watching television week to week. I just can't deal with it.
Yep.
I hate it. And that's what this show is for. It's supposed to be one of those Lost type of shows where it's like, oh, what's going on? Let's try and find out what's going on. But I'm like, no. Give me some Doctor Who, let me binge watch it, and then I'll tell you what I think at the end.
Yeah.
I'm more of that kind of TV viewer. So, I'm going to say this. This is not the worst thing ever, in my opinion. You know, I wouldn't recommend it to people looking for good storytelling. If you liked Lost, and the only reason you liked Lost was because you were like, I just want to get wrapped up in something that I can think about and try and figure out what's going on. Fan of convoluted bullshit, as Ian just said, this show is for you. So, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, let me say this much. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen, but I have not had this negative a reaction to something in a long time. It's been quite a while since I've not enjoyed something this much.
Well, I'm just so astonished at how boring it is when it's got these interesting fucking nuggets of stuff in there. Because again,
I mean, I like the black girl killing off the pregnant werewolf woman.
Yeah, and again, that goes nowhere because she gets killed too.
Which is weird.
And they don't take her plotline anywhere. They only imply that her brother is going to go after Roman for revenge. And I'm like, oh, that's never been done before.
Let me ask you this then, because you just made me think of something.
Sure.
Do you think this show would have been better suited for an actual television channel to play week to week? Do you think the pacing would have made it work better then? Because, that's the problem I think it has, is because you're able to watch it back to back, it gets boring because it's not paced and it's not cut very well.
It's a very long show, and I think that's totally accurate. I think that it would definitely be better suited to be on ABC, but again, it wouldn't work because fucking tits and ass. So if you cut that out, maybe it could work. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the remake of the Munsters show, the pilot they aired last year?
No, I did not.
Alright, well, it was awful, but...
Really?
Yeah. But, regardless of that, they got away with a lot of shit that I didn't expect them to get away with. Blood, implied nudity, implied murder of people who don't deserve it.
In the Munsters?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ian, as I said, it's like...
Did they do a serious version of the Munsters?
Oh, God, did they do a serious version of the Munsters.
Why?
I don't know, they just did. You know who directed it?
Who?
Bryan Singer.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? What channel was that? I think it was, it was NBC Universal. So if NBC got their hands on it, maybe they could get away with a lot more with...
Okay, I know you don't watch 30 Rock, but, in the final season of 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin's character, Jack Donaghy, who's essentially the head of NBC, is putting programming on the air to try to tank the network, just putting new shows out there that are just so bad that no one will watch them and the network will just drop and no one will ever want it and blah, blah, blah. And, you get to see clips from these shows that he's putting on, and, one of them was, God Partner or something like that. It was a cop show. It was a cop show where there was a detective and his partner was God.
Alright, that's kind of awesome.
And Alec Baldwin played God. It was pretty hilarious.
That's pretty awesome. I want to see that as a movie now. I hope it's like Grindhouse where they make all these different spin-offs of all the fake movies and trailers in it.
Well, 30 Rock's worth watching because it has, hands down, the greatest cameos ever. Jim Carrey was in an episode, and he's just on a television in the background of, this fake movie about, Leif Erikson Day. It's like a Jim Carrey, a 90s Jim Carrey movie about a holiday character, kind of like Liar Liar or something.
Oh my God.
And it's just, it looks terrible, but it's actually Jim Carrey.
I think Hemlock would have been more enjoyable if they would have thrown in some random cameos, I don't know, throw in some Shatner.
No, but anyway, what I was getting to is, the serious version of the Munsters sounds like something 30 Rock would have done.
Yeah. That's also NBC, right? So there you go. They could have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very fun. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, wow, this is bad. But I rewatched it the first time being like, it's the Munsters. I don't really care. And then I watched it the second time being like, it's the Munsters. What the fuck? Fucking Jerry O'Connor was Herman, and Eddie Izzard was Grandpa. It was weird.
Okay, that sounds hilarious. How do you fuck that up?
Eddie Izzard was great as Grandpa, but Jerry O'Connor as Herman was like, really? Anyway. But yeah, put it on something like that. I guarantee someone like my mom would love this show. And again, not to insult my mom. Again, this is not the worst thing ever, but it's not meant for people like us who like to binge watch TV and like to get wrapped up.
And it's not meant for people who are interested in, actual character development as opposed to just crazy plots.
Exactly. That's what we're into, and and of course, the people like my mom appreciate that stuff, but they don't need it to enjoy something. What they need is something they can get wrapped up in. So I think Hemlock functions that well.
Yeah. All right, Bill, let's do scores then.
Scores.
I'm going to have you go first.
I am going to give Hemlock Grove 1.5 snakes eating their own tails out of 5.
Okay. Little obvious, little on the nose there.
Well, I mean...
I will give Hemlock Grove 1 maggot-eating gypsy out of 5, and that's simply because of the visuals. Nothing else saves this show for me. I really do not recommend watching it.
No, again, unless you're one of those Lost people who didn't like Lost for the story, they liked it for just the convoluted mystery. If so,
Yeah.
This is your thing. I gave it the extra 0.5 because I like Peter and I like Norman, and that 3-episode stretch where Roman's in a coma I enjoyed.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. We had to stop for a second, and I had to try to get Milan, but he is unavailable. Alright, so there's our score for Hemlock Grove and our feelings on it. Obviously, it's one of the greatest things ever.
Clearly, we enjoyed it heavily.
I mean, could we have possibly sucked that show's dick anymore?
I know, right?
Now, anyway. So, alright, so next week, Bill and I had to just take a quick moment to think through this, because Milan was supposed to have a topic, but he's unavailable. So next week, we're going to be talking about what characters, or what universes, let's broaden that out a bit, what universes deserve video games.
Indeed.
Alright?
Indeed.
So that should be fun, and I don't know, maybe we'll get a Skype in on that one.
Who knows?
We don't talk about games too often, but we'd be more than happy to have.
Also, people, Skype in, bros. Come on, man.
Yeah,
I don't think we mentioned
really.
enough.
I mean, Milan will draw you. That's pretty good. I mean, look at the art he does for this show.
I know,
This is
right?
pretty awesome.
I get drawn as Godzilla. Ian looks like, I don't know, like some kind of like... I don't know what Ian looks like, man, but it's good. It's good nonetheless.
Alright. Anyway.
So you should do it.
Yeah, you should, everybody.
So all you gotta do, let's explain to them how to do it. What you gotta do is you're either going to record your brief feelings on the topic we're doing, characters that you think deserve video games, and send it to Sid Part 2 on Skype or on YouTube, where you can send it to me, Zazubar, or Bill Worster, or Milan Jeftik. I'm not sure what his Skype name is, but you can send it to Milan.
Milan.Jeftik5.
Milan.Jeftik5. Or, Ian, what else can they do?
Or, if you're online, on Skype, and you've got me or Bill or Milan added, at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time on Fridays, or not 10:30 exactly, but any time after that, before midnight, 1 a.m., get a hold of us on Skype, and if we're doing the show, we will bring you in live.
Indeed.
And you can talk to us for a couple minutes. Those people, they get to stay on and join the show for a minute or two, so it's a lot of fun.
Indeed. So
All right.
I should totally do it. So again, characters who deserve video games, or universes who deserve video games.
Yep. Alright, so that'll be the topic for next week, and more formal announcements, everybody.
Yes.
So, Geeky Gentleman is getting dangerously close to its 100th episode, which we are doing live! It's a live show!
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Show.
In the name of God, now I know what it's like to be God of live shows.
Just a little asterisk.
You just have this guy off frame, just comes out of live shows.
Right. But anyway, so we're doing a live show. We've got 3 special guests lined up for it. We've got a couple ideas of segments we're going to do on it. It'll be a lot of fun. There'll be prizes. Or at least, yeah, actually there will be. There will be at least a prize.
Really?
So, yeah. So,
you
you guys
wash
gotta come
Ian's
check
car.
it out. Right? While I play that bound.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So beautiful. I can do a really good deep voice like that. Anyway, so we'll be doing the live show on November 21st at 8:30 p.m. That's Thursday, November 21st, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come check it out. It's going to be a blast, guys. It should be a lot of fun. We're all going to be wearing suits.
We are.
We'll probably take some Skype-ins if people want to, or if you got a Google Plus account, we'll try and play around with the newfangled technology and bring you in on the show for a minute or two if you want.
I have a classy hat
It all
now,
depends.
so you guys can just come and see that live.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for the live show. I'm looking forward to it. We're meticulously planning things. There'll be an epic intro. It'll be a great time, everybody.
It'll be fun. You should be there.
You should.
Tell your friends.
It'll be the haps, yo.
Yeah, indeed. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Don't tell your family. That'd be bad.
Yeah.
Mom, you want to
They
watch
won't.
this little show called Geeky Gentlemen? Sure, honey. Milan just goes on a rant. She's just, your mother's dead.
Yeah.
Milan.
Do not kill your mom.
Yeah, indeed.
Do not show your mom Geeky Gentlemen.
Don't let your mom die of a heart attack from the strain that is Milan Jeftic.
Right. It's like that one of those NBC ads. It's like,
More
millions of people suffer every year from Milan Jeftic.
The more you know. Dun, 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 dun.
Alright, everybody, so thank you for listening. And until next time, I'm the Philosopher,
I am the Fanatic.
and we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing.
Till the end of time and beyond.
Probably not, I'm gonna die soon.
Yeah, probably.